is the moment we waited for. Everything you want is right here. We gon' give them what they came for. We gon' take it up from last year. Shoot on my shot, boy, I'm long range. Me and the team on the same thing. Stayed down, never switched up. Only thing changed was the game. I'm in the zone now. Nothing can change what we on now. When I pull up, know it's going down. Foot on the gas, ain't no slowing down.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Clydesdale Media Roundtable. Lunch with the crew. Here we are.
Yay.
Two of us.
Here we are. Did you have lunch yet?
I have not.
Oh.
No, all I've had
I
today
had
is a
lunch.
protein bar. I am way behind on everything.
I spent my morning in the doctor's waiting room, like we tend to do sometimes. My appointment was at 9:40. The nurse took me back to the room at 10:40. I had a very important work meeting at 11 that I was hoping to make. And at 11 is when the doctor came in. And at 11:03, I was out of there.
Wow.
So annoying.
It is.
So annoying. They have a sign in the waiting room. It says, "Don't let us forget you. If you've been here more than 30 minutes, please come up to the desk and let us know." So at the 30-minute mark, I went up to the desk and I was like, "Hey, I'm here." And she's like, have you signed in yet? I was like, "Yeah, no, I'm here. Like, you have a sign that says, come and tell you if it's been 30 minutes. I'm telling you it's been 30 minutes. She's like, "Oh, you're next. They'll be right out for you." And it was a whole nother 30 minutes before they actually took me back. So,
I hate that.
but I got my 4th cortisone injection in my elbow and it feels wonderful. So there's that.
Do you get those like quarterly?
Good grief. The last one I got was in April.
Okay.
And I think my whole that flicking of the paintbrush sort of re-aggravated it. So he said after this he would consider surgery, and I'm not getting surgery for tennis elbow. That's just ridiculous. So we'll see.
Yeah. So Julie was getting cortisone in her knee every 3 months. But now that the surgery's coming up, she's not allowed to get it. So
Right.
She has some really bad days right now. We're just trying to get through the next month before her surgery, and then hopefully some permanent relief.
Yeah, that would be nice.
But I do have a fun story.
Oh, what's up?
It wasn't fun at the time, but looking back, it's kind of fun now. But so I've been working on this project for 3 to 4 weeks. And last night was our smoke test, which means we wait till everybody goes home at the end of the night. We work late. We launch it into the production environment and see if anything breaks.
Okay.
So while this is going on, Julie put something in the garbage disposal and it clogs. So I'm like, okay. So I go over. I can't get it to budge. In fact, now it has flipped and everything is spinning in reverse. So when you turn it on, it sprays up through the drain instead of down. So our garbage disposal does not have a hand crank to get it through. So now I have to get under the sink and take apart the pipes and the plumbing to get in there. Well, so much pressure was created in the pipe that when I pull the first one off, I get a pot roast shower all over me.
What is she putting down the sink? Everything?
It was old pot roast that we had. Pot roast and carrots.
Wow.
And so just sprayed in like meat juice. I get it all apart. I get all the pieces out. I put it all back together, reset it, and it actually worked. And I actually felt like, even though it was covered in meat juice, I felt like a man. You know what I mean? Like
meat juice.
Right. Because I pulled all the plumbing out, I cleaned it all out, and I got it to work again. And that's a big accomplishment because I didn't grow up with those skills. Like I learned those through poverty. Like when Julie and I were struggling and we couldn't afford to have someone come in and I had to figure it out. Like that's kind of what it was. But took a shower, meat juice gone, got some masculinity in me last night, and all while I'm supposed
That's
to be
very
testing
masculine. Good for
this stuff. So yeah.
Love it.
And then the
Good
test
job.
failed, and we had to back out all the changes, and we'll have to do it again next week.
Oh no. That sounds fun.
So
Is
fun
it a situation where like you try to break it on purpose or?
So we spent 3 to 4 weeks trying to break it.
Okay.
We
You were ready to
moved
go.
it to production, so it was supposed to be good to go, and it broke things that weren't even connected to this piece.
It always happens
So,
that way.
yeah. So fun times. And it is the most boring thing ever because like you'll be on with the vendor and they'll be like, okay, we're gonna turn on this piece of it. And then you wait for like 15 minutes as that happens. Okay, we're done. Now we're gonna turn on this piece. And then you have like
Super exciting.
20 minutes to go in and get as much in as you can and try to see if it works. And then we had to roll it all back. And then you have to stay on as it rolls all back and then run in and test it to see if now the stuff that was broke when you put it in there is now fixed again when you took it out.
Right. Wow.
Yeah. So fun times.
Good.
And the whole time, like Julie's making dinner and I'm drooling and then the sink gets clogged and yeah, all that stuff all in like 2 hours.
We've got some folks in the chat. Hi guys.
Yeah. What's up, Kenneth, Lex, Craig, Corey? Standard crew. So there was an investigation done that we were told that CrossFit was going to be transparent with us. It was not released yesterday, but there was some information that was released yesterday in changes that CrossFit is making in response to the investigation.
Yes.
And so when CrossFit came out and said they were going to be fully transparent, I was watching John Woolley at the time, and he said, there's no way they can be transparent. There's no way they can release this. There are legal things, HR issues. You just cannot release that report. And he was right. There is no way because of the names and addresses and things that are in that report. It just can't be released open.
Right.
But I guess what I am disappointed in is that there wasn't a summary of the findings.
Yeah, why not?
I guess we're just left to assume that if you look at the medical examiner's report, the cause of death was drowning, the reason was accidental, and that's all we get to know. There was no summary of this third-party investigation. I didn't expect them to say, here's our report, read it in its entirety. But I did expect, hey, these were the things that were found. And then what was released yesterday, and here is our reaction to that.
Yeah. I'm guessing that there's still probably some legal action that is either going to be taken or that has been taken that probably makes it so it's in CrossFit's best interest not to discuss. Or it could even be they're not allowed to discuss.
I think there's got to be a way that they can do a summary.
Yeah.
Like a very edited version of what is in that report to say, these are the findings and this is what we're doing.
I mean, you would think if it was like, hey, we weren't negligent, or hey, we weren't this, or hey, we weren't that, I feel like they would have talked about it. But if they were found to be, negligent or had some missteps, which I think we all can agree probably is the case, then I could see why they wouldn't be putting that out. Not that I agree with it, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I guess I see your point to some degree, but yeah, I mean, to basically ignore the findings and just say, hey, this is what we're doing, rings hollow.
It would have been nice if they gave an explanation as to why they weren't sharing the results. They could have done that. They could have said, hey, we're still in the midst of some things and, we can't we can't or we won't share this, that, and the other, but maybe someday we will, and keep listening. It's got everybody hanging on.
Yeah. I guess if you're in the CrossFit space, you have to be living under a rock not to have seen what was released. We'll go over it real quick. We're not going to go into grave detail, as many other shows have already done that. And so I'll share what was released by CrossFit real quick here.
Yeah, and I'll just say, if there are details in there that are important, they'll come out. There are too many people at CrossFit that don't keep their mouth shut, that it will, Hiller or somebody will find out about it and tell us about it, I'm sure.
So the top of it just talks about that there was an investigation, that many people were questioned and all this kind of stuff. And then it says, because of that, this is what's happening. And they're basically hiring a new position that is supplementing the CrossFit sport leadership team, and their responsibility is going to be safety and etc. From what I gather from watching other shows is that this may have already existed in a limited form, like a part-time or volunteer position, and now it will be a full-time position. And this position reports to Dave and Dawn. And the other aspect of this is that it is clear in this section that Dave is being retained as the head of sport.
Right. He's not going anywhere.
Right.
And we can talk offline, but I think I have some candidates for that role that I think I want to share with you to see if I'm right.
Okay.
I have an inkling.
I think they should go outside of the normal CrossFit space and bring someone in from the outside that has experience in event planning. But that's just me. That would be, I think, the best look is to bring someone from the outside, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm. The fact that they've already started to build a slate of candidates. Oh, go ahead. Sorry. I jumped ahead.
No, I mean, then
this is the next part, I think, is what I was talking about more. So this advisory board.
And then they're going to be creating a CrossFit Games Safety Advisory Board. It will be made up of people with a diverse expertise, including emergency responders, former athletes, to ensure the comprehensive perspectives over CrossFit, and start building a slate of candidates and plans to communicate more details about this appointed thing in the coming weeks, months.
Yeah.
In addition to that, they're suspending open water swimming events. If there will be a swimming event, it'll be a controlled environment, such as a pool. I don't hate that for now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Enhancing pre-event rehearsals, communication protocols, and emergency resources. Like, I know they test the hell out of things. I don't know. Again, this just could be corporate speak, as making it public as to what they do. They do talk about expanding the athlete briefings, which you and I have sat through. Those athletes don't pay attention to what's there in the moment.
No.
And they're already too long.
Yeah. And a lot of questions don't really get addressed either. I mean, they do, but they don't. It depends on who's giving them, but I feel like it's more around rules of, movement standards and not anything around, safety specifics.
Yeah. The only time I can remember the safety thing being brought up was the rope climb at Syndicate Crown when Scott Panchek hurt his knee.
Yeah. And really, yeah. And really the only time I remember safety being brought up and headlined is when Wilson Pak did anything. Like before he even addressed the crowd to welcome them, he would talk about emergency exits in the building and, this is the person you go to. He was really good at that. I thought all his events were pretty buttoned
up. They're also going to expand mental and emotional support resources. I'm fine with all of that. And then the last thing is establishing a CrossFit Athlete Council. many of the shows have talked about this being a middle finger to the PFAA. It is, there was an athlete council for a good number of years. Our very good friend, Alexis Detroit, was a member of that athlete council for a year or so. But this says what'll be different is, this basically they'll have more say, and it will represent all levels of athlete, including masters, teams, all of that. So that aspect of it I like. But I know that when the last athlete council was put together, I'm not sure they were counseled as much as they should be. And it was maybe more of an appearance than a reality. This has to be,
it was like an honorary title,
right,
with not a lot of action.
I think this needs to be taken more seriously if they do it right this time. I do like the aspect that they are going to include all the different divisions representing them. So that is that. And then I have heard several rumors that there will be more about the upcoming season, possibly tomorrow.
Cool. Yeah, I think a lot of people are waiting on that.
Before we move on to other things, there was some response on the internet, of course. And one of those was from Luka. He shared this post immediately following that release, where he said, "No investigation can reveal anything other than the fact that there was no reaction when it was needed. Shortly after CrossFit Inc. announced their third-party investigation, I was informed by a source that they would not be sharing the results. However, I wanted to hear this directly from them. This is merely a let's buy some time, move until the community forgets, and it's time to cash in on them again. The next time you consider signing up for the Open, paying your affiliate fee, or letting a few CrossFit Inc.-oriented media pawns influence you, think carefully about giving your money, power, and time to a company that does not value human life."
That's deep.
Yeah. And it's his brother. Like he's going to be mad. I get that. And so his feelings are valid through all of that, and definitely has the right to make those posts, because that was his brother that lost his life in this. So
yeah, and we won't truly know the full impact of what he's getting at until the Open starts, right? And there will be this huge microscope on who registers and who doesn't in the elite groups. And I think we're gonna find some cohorts that are not playing.
I do believe Clock asks, are we a CrossFit Inc. oriented media pawn? I would say no. We don't, they don't even communicate with us. So there's already been some reaction from athletes. Emma McQuaid made an announcement that she is not participating in the 2025 game season. Elliot Simmons made a post. So there already is some trickling of effect of this. So we'll have to see over the next few months if there is more.
Yeah, so, it's going to be interesting.
I love this sport, right? I love this sport, and I love covering it, and I love everything about it. Has it been mismanaged? It sure has. But I don't want it to just go away. And I think, gosh, it's just, here's the thing that like gets me is when you go to the games, it is the safest that I see what the athletes being thought of. CrossFit has reacted over time There were burnt hands on rigs and barbells. Now they have covers that cover them. There people fell from ropes and were out of the games. Now they have the big crash mats. Like, things have happened in the past where they've responded appropriately, and now it is much, much safer. This was a tragic event that everybody is hopefully going to learn from.
Yeah.
I wish someone didn't have to die to learn the lesson, but we need more lifeguards in the water. We need more. I watched some of the behind the scenes of the NorCal Classic, and they made all the swimmers wear a personal flotation device that they drug behind them. There are solutions to this problem. I wish Lazar didn't have to die for us to get to this point, but I have to trust in the track record of what CrossFit has done in the past that they will make changes to make that safer. And right now they're getting rid of all open water swims anyway.
Right.
I've watched a lot of other events where I didn't think the athletes were very safe. And I think that while you may have issues with CrossFit, and I understand where some people felt like Castro lied to them and that they're never going to forgive him for that. And I understand that. But some of these other events are not safe, and everybody is bundling this safety issue as their big beef, when I truly believe the beef is other aspects of it. They're using Lazar's death to try to have a platform to get the change they want, but the change is really for another reason.
Yeah. I think the same thing with, wanting Dave's head on a platter too. I think most of the people that are on that bandwagon had issues with Dave in the past.
And you and I have worked for big companies before, right? Or like I work for the state of Ohio. There are times you're not allowed to say anything you want to say because they have muted you. And like it or not, Berkshire owns CrossFit now.
Yeah.
Their lawyers,
and somebody died.
their executives, and their people are going to tell you what you can and cannot say.
Yeah.
James W. says, felt like Castro lied. He did lie. Call it a misrepresentation if you want, but he lied unless dozens of athletes and coaches are lying about what happened.
Yeah.
Right.
I
was not present for any of that. That's why I'm using looser terms. Yes, people are saying, and Castro did come out and admit that he misrepresented, or however he wants to phrase it, the truth in that matter. I guess the feel like at this point is, do you feel like that's a deal breaker or not? And we're going to find out who feels that's a deal breaker.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see, if there is a big fallout, what other events are going to step up to sort of fill the void for those athletes. Because I don't think those athletes are just going to walk away from the sport necessarily.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there are alternatives. You can make a lot. If you're in it for the money, there's plenty of places to go make money.
Yeah. We'll cover it, and we'll, talk about it. And
I just don't think there's nothing right now presently that brings the strength of field together like the CrossFit Games. And until there's somebody else that does that makes you feel the best of the best, we're stuck where we are.
Yeah.
And the only other one I can think of that brings the best of the best is Rogue, but that is dependent on your scores at the other place where the best of the best is. So
I think that's going to change.
Yeah, I don't know. If Rogue is a major sponsor of the CrossFit Games, there is a business relationship there that we have to see how they feel about the relationship or not.
Right? Yeah,
Right?
but it doesn't mean that they can't change the rules of their invitational, and they can invite whoever they want. They don't have to invite, the top 20 at the games. They're not doing the games any favors by doing that. You know what I mean? It's not. benefiting CrossFit necessarily. I don't know.
Right.
I think they can maintain their business support for the event and still do their own thing at their own event.
Yeah, I agree. And if you saw Katie's interview this week, she is very adamant that they are not finding the fittest on earth.
Right.
That is not what they are trying to accomplish. But what they are trying to accomplish, they're doing a great job of. They could easily swing into something else if they wanted to.
Yeah. And who's to say that concept doesn't need to be the standard? Right? Like, you can have events like golf events where there isn't just one big culmination of who's the best golfer in the world, right? I mean, you can look at stats and sort of make assumptions, but there isn't like one big event. So who's to say that CrossFit has to have, the biggest event where it's crowning the fittest? Why can't it just be a whole bunch of events where people get first, second, or third and, decide for yourself?
They do that in tennis, right? You have clay court, you have grass court, you have hard court, and there's
not a world champion.
Right?
Yeah.
And you can be the best clay court player, but maybe not the others. And why couldn't you have a big four that you have the strongest athlete and you have the best endurance athlete and you have it could be done the same way. I think we're years away from that, but and maybe this is the straw that starts that down a road. We don't know. We did get word this week that Will's WPF, is that what it is? World.
Will Morad's thing.
Yeah, it is going to be 3 events, 2 like preliminary events and a championship.
Very cool.
We don't know what that's tied to yet. No specific details on that, but we do know that there will be a 3-event season by athletes for athletes is their tagline now, coming this season. Corey, tennis also has the Australian Open too. They have a big 4.
Yeah, the big 4. Right, and golf has like the skins. That's like grid, right?
Yeah,
I like it. We could do that.
Golf has 4 too. They have the Masters, they have the U.S. Open, they have the British Open, and they have the PGA Championship. Not that it's the championship; it's just always played at the PGA course.
Right. I like it.
So, in other news, it was revealed accidentally, and that's why we do live shows and not pre-recorded, because you have to depend on editing. But not intended. Talking Elite Fitness released an episode, and at the very beginning of that episode, before they were to have gone live, they were recorded talking, and Tommy Marquez revealed that Katrin Davidsdottir is retiring. And then Lauren actually confirmed that in a conversation with Presley, who is at HWPO. That video has since been removed from YouTube. But you and I did a lot of editing back in the day of our episodes, and I'm so glad that wasn't us.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the stuff we talk about outside of the recording or the live, it should not make air. And that's what happened here. And so apparently Katrin, after 10 years of making the games, is hanging it up to start a family.
Yeah. Somebody made a joke that it's not the first time that they announced a retirement early when they talked about Tia's retiring at the games in 2021. That's great.
Yeah.
I don't know how you accidentally leave that in. Did we record stuff like our conversations before we actually started our conversations? I felt like we knew when someone was hitting the button that like that's the start. I don't know.
Yeah, probably. But they actually have like a production crew, right? Mm-hmm. And so maybe they don't know when the button is totally hit.
Yeah, I don't know.
And they just lop off the beginning and the ending. I don't know. I'm not in their camp. But I know that I have missed things in the middle that I wanted to edit out and forgot about it last minute in a rush and had to go back and do it after. It's
Although
never been that catastrophic, but sure.
Yeah, I think based on Catherine's Instagram lately, I think we all kind of assumed that she was done competing though, because she's gotten some enhancements done to her body, and we feel like she's probably going to get pregnant at some point. I mean, that's at least been some of the talk.
Yeah.
So good for her. Good for them.
Corey said, watching the clip, it felt intentional. Sean gave them a countdown after they talked about Katrin.
Yeah, I don't know how you missed that, but some people like to show that they know things before everyone else knows things. And I feel like there are a lot of people in the space that like to flex on that. And we are very good at not doing that.
We try.
There are a lot of things that we've known about that we haven't said, and like, oh yeah, we knew, or hey, yeah, we talked about that, or hey, my friend Susie told me last week. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
Yeah. No. So the next thing I wanted to talk about real quick is John Young. If you didn't see this, he got in trouble with the United Grid League. And why I want to bring this up is I am very anti-censorship. I hate the cancel culture of it all, and I hate censorship of people. One, John Young is one of the most tame people on a mic for the CrossFit space. The guy doesn't even cuss. Like, he is very tame. And when you're on the air for 2 hours, inevitably, as much as John Young is on the mic, hours after hours after, you are going to say something that probably comes out wrong or does not sound right in the moment. It doesn't help that then someone takes what you say out of context, clips it together in a way that makes it even sound 10 times worse. And that guy is a douche. Tom Soroka doing what he did was complete being an
Garbage.
asshole. He was an asshole about it. He had an agenda and he went after it. There are a lot of people that say a lot of bad things on the internet, but John Young is not one of those people. And the fact that he has a goal of trying to compete in the Grid League next year, and they're trying to take that away from him. And I find that repulsive.
Yeah.
Last night on the Spin, Brian Spin put a link to the main sponsor of Grid League, Olipop. And the way they're trying to show support for John, because Olipop doesn't want to have associate with them and is trying to pull back away from Spin and all this kind of stuff, is to buy merch and say, there's a place like, where did you hear about us? And I wrote, I'm supporting John Young. And so what they're doing is there's a link on their episode last night. If you click on that link, you can support John by buying some of it to show that he is not a detriment to them advertising, but actually could be an enhancement.
Genius.
And so if you want to do that, go over to the Barbell Spin. If you support John, I'm not saying you should. I believe in that people should not be censored. I believe in turning the channel. If you don't like what you're hearing, flip to the next station. There's plenty of shit to watch on the internet. Trust me.
And lots of stuff to get offended by if you're looking for it.
If that's what you're into.
For sure. Yeah.
But calling someone bald and calling someone Big Mama where I grew up would have not even registered. Like, I'm a big guy. There's no hiding that I am a big guy. When I'm working out, I get called big guy or look at that big dude or whatever. And it doesn't offend me. I'm not hiding anything.
Right.
Like, I can't put on a skinny suit and hide from it all. I'm a big guy. That's how people are going to identify me. And if that's what offends you, my gosh, like, I guess you're entitled to be offended, but my God,
people say that I'm just beautiful all the time, and it's just exhausting. And it's just, I keep trying to tell people, like, hey, mind your business. Don't be so rude.
I don't know how you deal with it.
I just take it on the chin. It's fine.
Yeah. It's got to be rough. Got to be rough. So the last thing I wanted to talk about real quick is Gabi Migala announced that her Achilles is back together.
Oh, fun. So just a big old strain, I guess.
No. She had surgery.
Oh, she had the surgery. Oh, okay.
She had surgery.
But she actually, you were going to say that it was just a bad strain.
Mentally, she feels whole again.
Like, good.
And I think that's a cool, like, concept, like an interesting thing that she was going through. Like, she didn't feel together or whole until that was fixed. And now that it's fixed mentally, it's moved her past a step.
Good.
But yeah, it's in her story if you want to check it out. She looks like she still might be under some pain, sedation stuff. But it's a cool little thing on her story talking about that it's been fixed and she's ready to move on.
Do we think that Gabi and Roman are going to be ready for the Open?
No way is Gabi ready for the Open.
Yeah. Roman, maybe. I mean, I don't think that would be wise.
I don't know what's totally wrong with him.
Yeah.
I just know torn Achilles. Like, I got really close with Chelsea Nicholas, who ruptured her Achilles at the 23 CrossFit Games. And like, her doctor said, yeah, you can start back to stuff in a year.
Oh.
But
it's kind of like ACL.
It's not completely healed for 18 months.
Okay.
So
I'm curious to see how Roman rehabs his torn labrum. I'm sure he's got better resources than Charlie and I had when we recovered from ours. So
yeah, I thought it was a foot. So that's how out of it I am with Roman.
Oh yeah, no, I think he has a torn labrum.
Okay.
On his hip. Like me, he has the Charlie Cat surgery. But he had it already, we're assuming, so we'll see. Yeah, true, Corey. Corey says the Open is one thing, semifinals is another thing entirely. True. But got to do the Open first, so.
Yeah, we don't even know what the season is to know what you have to be ready for.
Yeah.
Like, I've heard so many rumors. I don't even want to get into it until if it's coming out tomorrow, because I've heard so many different versions of what the season may end up being.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So
hi, Dance.
Yeah, we don't even know what they're getting ready for. Yeah, Jenny's in the chat.
Hello.
Her latest Dense update is all about what we just talked about with the release of the news and some Hiller stuff. So
Corey's flexing. Whatever, Corey.
Corey, that's nice if we have that format. We don't even know what the format is, dude.
Next week is Thanksgiving. What's happening? We're not going to be on next Thursday.
Yeah, and the Bears play at 12:30. So.
Oh, okay. That's what you'll be doing.
Yeah, that's where I will be.
I'm gonna try to smush some people in my apartment for dinner.
Let's talk offline. Maybe we'll do a Wednesday show or a Black Friday show.
Either one.
I'm actually thinking about, and this is when I'm going back to the days when we used to have our meetings on live.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually thinking about going into the next year after we find out like what the season is, what we're looking at is doing an everyday lunch show.
Cool. Just checking in.
Yeah. And then
informal.
Bring maybe some of our friends on, like Corey or Jenny or some of these people just to chat. But I don't want it to necessarily be CrossFit based.
Right.
Like just
life
whatever.
based.
Yeah. But just have
What's
like
that going to do to your lunchtime workouts though, Mr. Schweitzer?
Oh, that is a good point.
You're going to have to figure something
I'm just brainstorming.
Well, and you wouldn't have to be on all of them. Maybe I could run a couple.
Right. Yeah, I don't have to be on all of them at all. The plan was just to have something like every day for people to come check in at lunch.
Yeah. Like that. As long as we can eat on air, I'm fine with that.
Well, we could even call it lunch with the crew or whatever. Bring your food and
brown bag it.
Yeah. But it's just a thought.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. All right. I got a 1 o'clock.
I could do it live on my assault bike.
You could.
I could. Hold on. I've got to clean this 385 pounds in my dreams.
I eat at my desk every single day too, Corey, but not when we're on air. That's the problem. But if I could eat on air, I'm all for it.
Yeah. When you eat on air, it's amazing how many trolls come out of the woodwork.
Right. Those people that suffer from whatever that phobia is, that can't stand like the chewing or. Remember one time I had like a Stanley Cup.
Castro or any of that stuff. And we don't get hardly any comments. But you on camera and we get 87 comments.
Yep.
It is crazy.
Remember I had the Stanley Cup with like a metal straw and someone was like, "Oh dear God, what is that? Take your cup away or something." I'm like, dude, chill. So much chicken and rice. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I gotta
bolt. With that, we will catch everybody next time. We will post something up about when we'll have the show next week. We'll check on everybody's schedule and see how we can do that. But if we don't see you before then, happy Thanksgiving. And we'll see everybody next time on Clydesdale Media Roundtable. Bye, guys.
Bye.